UK's new policy, which they have announced today, the Britannia card. The policy gives new or returning non-doms the chance to pay £250,000 one-off fee to shield them from paying tax and encourage them to stay in the UK. The money would be redistributed to Britain's lowest paid workers. We can now talk to Zia Yusuf, who is head of DOGE, that's Department of Government Efficiency for Reform UK. Could you just explain the idea behind this policy and how it would work?
Yeah, of course. Look, we've got to make Britain a prosperous and powerful country again. One ingredient to do that is you need the world's wealth creators, the world's job creators, the world's best people at doing those things here in the UK, not in Singapore and Monaco and Dubai and America and Saudi Arabia. So what we're saying is we're going to charge them £250,000 landing fee. That allows them to not pay tax. Importantly, just to correct your introduction there, on foreign earnings, they will still contribute substantially above and beyond that to UK taxes, roughly £120,000 a year each. And all of that money at the end of each tax year, within 90 days, will be wired to the 2.5 million lowest earning full-time workers in the country. So we're restoring the social contract. We're helping the people grafting hardest for the least with the cost of living crisis, and we're going to make Britain prosperous again.
Now, not all of the non-doms, of course, have left the country, have they? There are a lot here who, as you say, are paying an awful lot of tax, billions of pounds. So what will happen to those who have stayed here?
Well, okay, so let's be really clear about what we're saying. We're saying that they won't pay taxes on foreign earnings and foreign gains and income tax on foreign assets, right? And that makes us competitive with places like Monaco and Dubai and Singapore and all of these other countries, Italy, Portugal, who are welcoming these people with open arms. We have seen that population collapse from 140,000 to probably closer to 60,000 now over the last 2 decades. They're being chased away. And in that time, real GDP per person in this country has been stagnant. Real wages have been stagnant. So what we're saying is we're going to invite those people back here. We're going to charge them up front £250,000 to get started. And we're going to send that money directly to the 2.5 million people who are grafting hardest for the least.
But just to explain, so the non-doms who haven't left, they won't be able to do this?
Well, it depends what you're talking about. So it's not going to be available to British residents. If you are a non-dom if you're a non-dom who's already here, you've got to remember these people are already fleeing. So we will have strict criteria about who's eligible and who isn't.
Lots of them haven't fled.
Well, a lot of them are. I mean, the OBR forecast that Rachel Reeves's changes to the non-dom programme would raise 30-odd billion in the first 5 years. They base that forecast on a decline in that population of 1.5% a year. The Treasury is now briefing against Rachel Reeves, trying to get her to U-turn, because that is already 10% have left, and we haven't even had a year yet. We are seeing an absolute exodus from this country. And what that means is, according to the Adam Smith Institute, that will cost this country £115 billion and 45,000 jobs over the next decade. We have to have those people back. They are going to contribute billions in tax in this country, starting with that £250,000 upfront cost, which goes straight to working people in this country.
And in terms of the working people, you have said specifically you have to be full-time.
Yeah.
Why have you decided to do that? And how is HMRC going to find these people?
Well, we've done it specifically because HMRC has that information. HMRC has the information as to who is in full-time work, and HMRC has the information as to how they can wire that money directly into their bank accounts, just like somebody who fills out a self-assessment tax return who is in employment. So they already have the ability to do it. We have chosen that because it's a substantial...
So a lot of women who are part-time with caring responsibilities, you wouldn't qualify for this?
We had to make the SIP programme simple to understand, and we are really focused. Look, there's going to be a lot of women who are, who are working full-time jobs, struggling to make ends meet. The amount of money they're going to be getting, according to our conservative forecast, is around £600 tax-free every single year. We think that could be north of £1,000 ultimately, and all of that money goes directly to people who are in full-time work. Look, Reform makes no apology for this. We are on the side of people who set their alarm clocks before they go to bed and rise early in the morning and do hard graft. We're on their side, and we need the economy to grow. I mean, you've been talking on this programme about defence spending and underinvestment. For the last decade, you can barely find a single year where GDP in this country has grown faster than the population. Reform is the only party willing to have these conversations.
Let's just bring in the panel here. Kelvin, what do you make of this?
Golden ticket for billionaires, isn't it? I mean, pay a little and then we'll just ignore the rest. There is a reason why our government was brought about, and that's because people wanted to see change. They want to see change. They want to see meaningful taxes, and there are a number of things that our government has brought about, including taxing private schools, which may not be popular in all quarters, which probably says it's a good policy, but also how we have adjusted the tax system in this part of the economy. Now, whilst there might be some ebbing and flowing, it's important that if you earn money and you live in this country and you take the benefits of being in this country, then you pay.
Zia, a tax dodge for the wealthy?
It's just extraordinary. I mean, the fact that people in government are talking about the success of a policy based on who's angry about it. It was a Labour government and a Labour Chancellor that hiked the capital gains tax rate, apparently because it was going to increase revenue to the Exchequer. What's happened? The revenue from capital gains tax is down 10%, £1.5 billion less to pay for hospitals, to pay for schools, to pay for roads, to pay for our military. These are people with no experience of how the world actually works. Let me be clear again. These people will pay £250,000 just to land here, and then will pay each £120,000 plus per year in direct taxation, and that's before you even get to VAT and stamp duty, land tax, and all of the other contributions they make in terms of corporation tax that these people, in terms of companies they run. Reform has a leadership team who have experience in private business. None of the Labour cabinet understand how the world of business and economics works, and that's why, yes, you won the election last year. The reason why Labour, their support has collapsed, is because they have clownish policies that are making everyone in this country poorer.
Calvin, do you want to come back on that? I'll bring in Harriet after that.
Indeed. Says the Department of Doge or Dodge. We have brought about fairer tax policies, windfall tax, private equity tax. There is some, like I said, there is some ebb and flow, but I'll take an affront to 25 years working on the receiving end of poor tax policies, poor investment, and this just it literally points to what Liz Truss did, which is what Nigel Farage said. Liz Truss gave a good policy. Like this was, if you are comfortable with atrophying our economy, doing it the size of significant damage by giving handouts out to billionaires, please explain where the money is coming from to fund the NHS. Please explain where the money is coming from to fund our services. Because like these golden tickets are meaningless.
Let me bring in Harriet here. I mean, there was a similar policy under the last government. Jeremy Hunt scrapped the non-dom status.
Which was for non-doms to pay £60,000 a year to have that status. And the problem was that when Rachel Reeves announced her Halloween budget last October, she changed the rules around...
A little bit, I think, pie in the sky. I think this one is pie in the sky.
Let Zia come back on that. Pie in the sky, Zia.
Well, if anyone on the panel actually cared and bothered, they could go and read our 12-page policy document,
I'm sure they
which
will straight after this.
All of those questions. We have put a lot of thought into this. And, you talk about not running anything, unlike, let me reiterate, the entire Labour cabinet, who not a single one has had, I would argue, a job of significant consequence in the private sector. We have serious people, entrepreneurs who have built companies from scratch, sold them for hundreds of millions of pounds, who understand how the real economy works. And by the way, we also have our fingers on the pulse of working people. They would receive £600 to £1,000 each as a direct payment, tax-free, from HMRC. So we've thought it through. We're the only ones who are coming up with any innovative ideas, by the way, as to how you get the British economy growing again. You talk about how things are going to be paid for. This Labour government just added £130 billion to the borrowing bill for everyone in this country and their kids in the last major announcement alone. All successive governments have done is spend profligately and just whack it all on a credit card. We're the only ones with serious ideas about how we grow the economy.
OK, Zia Yusuf, thank you very much for joining us today to explain your policy.